Broadcasting across Europe via Sirius 2 satellite at 5 degrees east
on a frequency of 12.111 gigahertz.
This is Limerick's RLO TV.
Buckley's people on the road, election time. We're in hospital in County Limerick to meet Eddie Creighton of the Progressive Democrats, a member of the Limerick County Council since 1991 and wearing out shoe leather already. So we're here to talk to him about what he feels is needed in this region. Eddie, you're very welcome to Buckley's people.
Sean, and you're very welcome to hospital.
Eddie, now that election time is here and all the hard slogging is beginning, are you looking forward to it?
Yes, Sean, I am. I have been on the trail for the last few weeks actually, because it's a very big area, very spread out area, so therefore you'd never cover the whole lot in a month. I've been at it for 3 weeks now.
Someone told me there's over 7,000 houses or something like that in the,
I'd imagine there
in the
would
area.
be. It's running from Loughgore up as far as the bounds of the county of Cork and Limerick, and from the bounds of Tipperary back to within about a mile of Grana, which is giving you a fair old area to cover, you know, a lot of rural area in that.
Well, of course, having been on the council since 91, you're very familiar with the area. You won't get lost, let's say.
No, I would know every road and every byway in it.
Well, okay, let's talk about the first byways, the byways that you travelled, you know, when you were born here, I take it, this locality.
Yes, I was born within about a mile from here, back on to Britannia Road as we call it. And
how many in your family at that time?
There were 7 in our family, and we grew up there. Went to school locally, went to the De La Salle Brothers, and on to secondary school, and on to the vocational school.
Gives me an idea that you had brothers, so if you went down to the De La Salle Brothers, how did they take girls as well?
No, it was all brothers at that time.
So how many brothers did you have?
My own family brothers.
Yeah.
I have Jerry would be our eldest, and Sean, and Dennis, and myself. I had another brother, but he died when he was 14. And my sister then, Mary, which had Dana, and Margaret, and my sister Kitty, who is at home in the home place now.
All well established.
Yes.
What was school like in those days for you?
I enjoyed it. You know, I liked school. And right, you'd be nervous of some of the brothers because I suppose they were able to lean a bit heavily on it, but I found by and large that I liked the school.
Are you talking about corporal punishment now?
I suppose there was a dread there because of the corporal punishment to a degree, and it was possibly administered too freely at times for the wrong reasons. If somebody got a spelling wrong or something, they were possibly stabbed for it. There was very little misbehaviour in my time at school, I'll be honest about it. During the break time you went out and you played hurling or football out in the yard or the field, and you came back in, you did your work, and that was it, and homework was given freely and you made sure you had it done for the following morning.
Because you were afraid of the corporal punishment?
Well, you would be afraid of it to a degree anyhow, but I suppose when at that age you don't realise, especially in that era, you didn't realise that education was so important. Very few people went on to third level education at that time.
So what did you go on to?
I went on and started my time as a carpenter.
Not straight
after leaving school.
No.
After leaving school.
Where did you go to? No, where did you go to? Vocational or secondary or wherever?
I went to the vocational school just across the road from here.
So what do you think of the vocational school system?
I think it's great, and it's even better now than it was then, because at that time I think it was maybe looked down on a bit. I'll be honest about it. I felt that, you know, at that time. But
it was a second class.
It was a second class, second education. But our secondary school at that time, it was, I think, around £30 a year. It was a lot of money at that time. A lot of people didn't have that kind of money. And you went to the vocational school, which was much cheaper, but a very good education, and I was lucky that there were some marvellous teachers over there.
But of course the difference at the time was that the vocational system taught you a trade.
They taught trades. That was the big thing at that time, that trades were really, a lot of people felt that if you had a trade, that you were really looked after for the rest of your life.
So which one did you choose?
I chose carpentry.
And was there any semblance of it in your family before that, of carpentry?
My brother was a carpenter as well.
So it was in the blood.
In America, he was a carpenter. Yes, he was, I suppose, when you'd hear him talking about it, you would naturally seem to lean that way. And I liked it. I thought it was a lovely trade.
So where did you serve your time then, having got the basic at vocational school?
Served my time in England, in Birmingham. At that time, in the late 50s, most people emigrated. There was nothing here in the line of building, or in the chances of serving or apprenticeship either, for that matter. And went to England because I had a brother there, not in the trade, but there, and he was I was able to go over to him.
But as you say, that was a time of fierce emigration.
Terrible. I think there are very few houses, definitely in our parish, that there wasn't somebody that, if not all, went either to England or America at that time.
And they were sending back money and clothes?
They sent back money every week. That was the nature of the game. And try and help out the family at home. I was the youngest of our family, but you would still always send back the few pounds that you could afford.
So before we talk about what work you did in Birmingham and that, obviously you were playing hurling and football at home before you left. Did you miss that when you went to Birmingham?
To a degree, but my brother was very, very involved in a hurling club in Birmingham, Dr. Crokes, and I suppose I just fell into that team, and I felt the camaraderie that we had there was just second to none. The friends that I made there and that we played and hurled together, I still have them. We still communicate now and again. And even there about 6 weeks ago, there was a fella from Kilmarnock, Mick Galvin. He was being honoured from the Past Hurlers Association in Kilmarnock by the Hall of Fame back there. And we'd hurl together, and I was delighted when I was invited to go back there and just to show because he was a marvellous hurler.
So did you hurl with Crokes then?
I hurled with Crokes until I came home. That's how I happened to come home. Actually, we'd come home every couple of years playing clubs here in Ireland, and one of those years was 1964. We came home in the spring of 64 around the which weekend, and we played so many matches. We played maybe, at that time, Bennett's-Bridge were the big club in Kilkenny. Kilmarnock were a pretty strong club here in Limerick. A few places like that up in Galway, and back in Kerry, Lixnaw were the kingpins of hurling there, and we'd have people from those clubs and those areas that were hurling with us over, and they would organise matches through friends of theirs at home, and we'd just come back and play a few games.
So you were encouraged to stay at home?
Some of the lads at home then got on to me, why don't you stay at home? We've a nice team here, get hurling with the lads here. So I was married at that time to Peg, my wife. We met in one of the dance halls in Birmingham at that time, and we chatted about it before we went back from holidays, and we went back and sold out and came home and never looked back. I've been over there on a couple of holiday trips and that, but I'm glad I came home.
So how did you pick up employment when you came home? Where did you go to? I
went working for Dorns inside in Cathedral Place. They were a joinery firm, but with a building construction company as well, so that they were able to work the two together, which was very good. And they were decent family-run business and decent people to work with. Met some great friends in there, which I still have. The Noonans, they have a joinery shop in there in Old Town Street, and their uncle. Some older Limerick people that lived through tough times, and they talk about him in there.
John O'Brien was there, was it John?
John O'Brien was there. Alan Noonan, the Lord Mercy, Georgie McInerney, they're all dead and gone.
Was Jerry Trehy and Dom Hilton there in your time, or had they left?
So I think they were hardly there at that time. Just after I left, they came on the scene then, like, you know. But it was a grand old friendly place. Jimmy Clancy was there. I think he's with Foss now. Lovely tradesman. And
they operated as much outside as inside. I mean, they were well known as a joinery shop, and they made church furniture and so on. But did they have outside site work?
Oh yes, they did. They did a school of music there opposite the jail now. At that time, it was a pretty big job at that time, and did a lot of renovation work in St. Joseph's. And there were a team of us up there for quite a while.
That was in the early 60s, I think.
That would be around mid-60s, that way, like, you know.
I remember quite well Dr. Kenneth Cowan that came there, was made a freeman of the city.
That's right.
I hope he admired all your work.
I don't think he even looked at it, to be honest about it. But it was the base of a little mini boom coming there in the building industry. People starting to come back by and large in small numbers. The filling in and the trade vacuum that had appeared there. And I was one of those.
So did you stay at that trade then? You know,
stayed at that trade for quite a number of years. Worked with different firms, working as we used to call it on the lump at the time, because we felt it was the one way that you made a good lot of money quickly. And
that was boom time, of course. There was a lot of houses being built in the 60s.
Oh, you're talking of South Hill, Myross, all those areas. Everything like that was being built at that time, like, you know, and they're really taking up a lot of labour from just not from Limerick alone, but from Clare, Tipperary, Cork, Kerry, you name it, they were coming there.
So how did you move out into that, because Dornans wasn't involved totally?
I went out starting working in houses because it's a nice type of work. Second fixing is finishing, as we call it. It's a lovely type of work, and it's a nicer part of the trade. And you know, there was good money in it at that time. Worked there for quite a number of years, and then another chap and myself, we set up on our own, doing much the same thing, but subbing out to contractors, taking all the timber work of houses.
You made another move?
All things changed.
Like a fella playing chess, you were.
That's right. I suppose going through life, there are so many twists and turns that you look back and you say, gosh, why did I do that, or why didn't I do that?
So what did you do?
A job became vacant in the vocational school of a maintenance caretaker, and I went for that and got it, and that's what I'm still doing.
That's a lovely job.
It's a nice job. You're involved, you meet a lot of young people, young lads going to school and girls, and they're, by and large, I don't care what they say about the children today, by and large, they're smashing youngsters. You will always meet a few unruly ones. They were there in our days as well, I'm sure, but by and large they're smashing kids today, and I think it's great to see them furthering their education, especially getting the chances that we never had.
But is it more difficult for them today in the schools to deal with that now, to deal with the unruly people? Have you sympathy for the teachers?
Yes, I would have sympathy for the teachers. If you do have a few unruly students in any class, they can cause a lot of disruption.
Food and fun with real flavour at the Limerick International Good Food Festival 99. Saturday, June 5th to the 12th. Whether it's healthy eating, international banqueting, hothouse flowers or Aslan, your table is set in Limerick. Limerick International Good Food Festival, a Shannon Development Initiative welcoming the UK and Ireland Corporate Games. Tony Connolly's stock damage sale has just started. Half price or less. Due to renovations in our Patrick Street store, we now have some slight dust damaged stock. £50,000 worth of quality menswear must be cleared. Suits, overcoats, leather suede jackets from £50. Knitwear, footwear, shirts, fleece tops from £20. Shop soiled shirts and knitwear from £5. Sports, casual and wax jackets from £20. Jeans, combats, sweats and slacks from £15. Only at Tony Connolly's Stock Damage Sale, Patrick Street, Limerick. Check out this great sale.
Summertime is now officially here. Time to get away and get yourself refreshed for another year. At Alpha Travel 1 Cecil Street, we've got just what you want with thousands and thousands of different holidays available at the best prices around. So call to Alpha Travel soon and let their friendly and experienced staff help you to get where in the world you choose to go. Alpha Travel 1 Cecil Street, Limerick. Telephone 413 988. Alpha Travel. We can get you anywhere.
The Glen Tavern for that relaxing drink in pleasant surroundings. Function room available for parties, anniversaries and 21sts. Take a good tip and go to the Glen.
You wanna be where everybody knows your name.
RLO TV can now be seen in more places than ever before. Here's just a few fine establishments where you can now watch your local TV station. Hurler's Bar, Castle Troy, Squire Maguire's, Cecil Street, Jack Ray's, Upper William Street, Stillhouse, Thomas Street. Stay tuned to Radio Limerick 1 for more great locations where you can see RLO TV.
Well, now that you're at home and anchored, where did the interest in politics come in?
Well, I suppose my family would be basically Fianna Fáil orientated.
On your father's or mother's side?
On mother's side, basically, and should have been, I suppose, on my father's side, their grandparents, my grandparents would have been related to the Colls in Bree, and so that would show you the interest in Fianna Fáil, I suppose.
So you joined Fianna Fáil?
Back in the 60s, in the late 60s, when Des O'Malley first came on the scene, and we joined Fianna Fáil and rode in behind Des.
Were you very much taken by his style and his qualities?
Even at that time, you know, he had a certain side, even though he was a very young politician, and he wasn't long, I think, until that was seen by Jack Lynch, who was in the Taoiseach, that he was the makings of something a little bit special, you know, and he had been minister before very, very long, and
a very senior minister.
A very senior minister of Justice, and he did a great job in a difficult time. And I think, as we often said about Des, if he had stayed in his practice as a solicitor, he'd be a wealthy man today. He'd not been a wealthy man, and he definitely didn't through politics.
This region was very well served, particularly in the area of the Minister for Justice, because I think Jerry Collins, Michael Noonan and Des were exceptional.
Yes, they were very, very good, exceptional ministers, and it is great to have that in any region. I think Limerick were lucky there, because Des went from there on to industry and commerce again, which was a marvellous boost for our area.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm talking about our area now as Limerick City and County, you know, as Jerry Collins did also, you know, brought a lot of industry down to Limerick and had the foresight to ensure that there was places set up there to attract other industries, you know. And we should be grateful to them for doing that. People will laugh and say they got well paid for it. They got an ordinary TD salary or minister's salary at that time, but they put in the extra effort, I think.
Despite all the good work that he was putting in and was seen as maybe Taoiseach material at the time, he left Fianna Fáil, he left government, of course. And did you depart with him?
Yes, he was. He didn't leave it. I suppose he was pushed out, you know, at the time when he voted against the party, and the whip was removed from him. And it was a troublesome time for Fianna Fáil in this region anyway, and a lot of people left with it at that time. I had got easy about the political scene prior to that, because I didn't like what was happening.
Were you disillusioned?
I felt there was things happening, even I could see that it wasn't in the best interests of our country as a whole.
So where did your interest arise then to join the Progressive Democrats? Did it happen at the same time?
Yes, as soon as they formed the Progressive Democrats, I joined. So I would have been a founder member of it. Even before the party was formed, we had a few meetings in town. I would have been in there at those, and I was delighted to be able to help in any way I could to put the foundation of the party there. And we worked hard for the party at that time.
You've seen it grow, and you've seen it fall back a bit and rise a bit
Yes,
again.
it's had its ups and downs, there's no doubt about that.
But in every point they say that the cream rises to the top. There's been quality ministers in the Progressive Democrats.
Yeah, and I still think even today, look at even though there are only 4 TDs elected, I think anybody would have to agree that Mary Harney is a hell of a good minister, very sound. And we also look at the performance of Liz O'Donnell as a junior minister, and she has performed.
She has been exceptional.
She is an exception. She's played a blinder. Bobby Malloy as junior minister as well on housing. He is starting to get the whole scene together to help out in the housing situation that we have at the moment.
Do you think Mary Harney has been put in an invidious position by the way things have been happening nationally at present?
I suppose so. You know, it's people look at the PDs in some light as a conscience of the government. I don't think we are that at all. We're there to put in an input which we believe in, irrespective.
Are you saying that you're not, or that you shouldn't be, or what?
Well, I say that we shouldn't be seen in the light of a conscience to any government.
But Mary Harney and the PDs have always been that as well, haven't they?
Well, I suppose we're associated that way. We're no better or worse than any other party. There are great people in every party, and I would never knock any political people that are involved, except the ones that have worked for themselves and solely for their own benefit rather than working for the benefit of the country. And I think if one thing has destroyed politics in Ireland, it's putting the party before the country. And that is my honest belief. I think the country should come first.
Recent reports show that young people are disillusioned and don't go out to vote, and the percentage that vote has fallen over the years.
Hard to blame them, I suppose, really. You know, you look at and you say to yourself, with the scandals that have come on board there over the last couple of years that have been proven, and the ones that are still going on and await complete proof when these tribunals are over.
Well, now in the middle of this election for the local council, if you do well and you're re-elected, what do you think are the major features that need to be attended to in this area?
Well, in rural County Limerick, I think the main features that we would have to look at is industry for rural areas. You know, there are some industries in some areas, but there are many areas that are void of any kind of industry. And I think that you have to, the council as a whole have got to be seen to put complete emphasis on the infrastructure of proper sewage systems, upgrading the ones that need upgrading, that then can allow and attract in industry that are able to avail of, like in this day and age, a lot of the industries would have an effluent problem, and so that would have to be treated in a
So the environment has to be really looked after.
The environment has to be looked after because we've been careless with our environment for a number of years.
What do you think of landfill sites? What's their lifespan going to be, do you think?
Landfill sites, it's hard to, nobody wants them near them, I know that much, that's for sure anyway. I suppose we were so careless about landfill sites and the way they were managed over a number of years that it has given it such a bad name and a bad image. But we create the rubbish, and we have to accept it, we have to get rid of it. I would possibly prefer to see some type of incineration rather than the landfill site.
They're a thing of the past, you think?
I think they are, and I think we'll have to get used to the idea that we get our rubbish and separate it, that bringing it down to a minimum of really having to burn off waste, you know, and the other stuff could be used in different organic forms to get back into organic farming or something like that, because there's a huge opening, I think, for that, and you will see a lot more of it.
Too many people travelling too far to work, too many travelling into Limerick every day in and out. Could you do with a local industry here in hospital?
We could do with a local industry, and I would hope that there'll be an announcement made on that within the next few weeks.
You've been working hard at it, I take it.
I've been working hard at it, and with other people, and I would hope that we will come.
Are you getting a good response on the canvas?
I'm getting a good response. I've worked hard over the last 8 years as a councillor for all the region, and I think people would know me for that.
Of course, it'll be a little bit more difficult this time. I think you have a seat less.
It's a 4-seater, and the area is still the same size. But I say one thing: there are 8 candidates, and I think there are 8 special people. There is no such thing as this knocking politics, anyhow, that I've heard of. I don't go into that mould at all. Let the best horses jump the ditch at the end of the day.
Tell me, have your family, now that we're coming towards the end of this discussion,
yes,
have they all rode in behind you?
Yes, they have. Peg is out canvassing day and night with me. The rest of my family, my daughter Mary works down in Clare, so she comes up the weekend and work. My 2 sons are working in Dublin, and they'll be coming down weekends as well, giving a hand out, you know.
So you have great family support.
Great family support, and great support locally, and with the friends and the members of the Progressive Democrat Party here in hospital, Nacown, Nakani, and places like that. And friends that I've met through different sports, let it be fishing, shooting, tennis, basketball, whatever. I play them all, and they have rallied around me, and as they did in the last election. I'm grateful for their support.
Well, thank you for having us with you, and may we wish you the very best and that things work out for you as you'd like them to be.
Sean, thanks very much.
Thank you for being one of Buckley's people for this occasion.
Thank you very much. I appreciate what you're doing for rural Ireland and rural County Limerick with your show and programme as well, Sean. I think it's marvellous. It's widely listened to by a lot of people, and going around to the doors, you'll hear it. Oh, I heard you on the Limerick radio there the other day. It's amazing the amount of people that listen to it out in the rural place.
Thank you very much.
Sean, thank you.